um, psychological, and linguistic, and also neurological. Like there are certain things happening in the playlist that triggers something in all of these, the psychological, the different logics, neurological, the linguistic. Um, and what would those be? So there's something about the we've talked about it so many times, selections and combinations. But if I was to simplify it, it would have to do with the choices that you would be making within the developmental pressure, time-based live processes would always carry with them. Like you would never have enough time. You would never have the luxury of just slowing down, pressing the pause button, stopping everyone from what they're doing, so that you can focus on what would be the best choices. Because always there would be an infinite amount of options available in how you speak certain things, select and combine words in sentences and paragraphs. Same with music, and that's what makes the inner dance rock and roll. That's what validates its workings. So when you work with time and space, I think what a facilitator would need is an ability to grow with the options. The more inputs, the more stimuli, the more possibilities you bring in, the more brains, okay, like the more brains, the more culture, and then the more minds would extend across deep time and huge space. So there needs to be a certain element of growth, but at the same time, there needs to be containment. If I was to use a word, I would use the word restrictive. There has to be restrictions there. There has to be somehow restrictive growth. That you need to keep expanding day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time. But at the same time, there has to be like certain limitations to how you would grow. And this would need to reflect in how you are playlisting, that when you get stagnant and when you restrict the options too much, you're not bringing the infinitive, you're bringing the definitive. There has to be always like a pathway to the infinite, and be very clear. You're never doing this for the others only. You're always certainly doing it for yourself. Like you want to yourself always be in a growth process, but at the same time you wish to contain that growth. um there has to be clear boundaries even as you go into the boundless, right? So um you want to then look for a platform. You would wish to look for some kind of space to play, okay, to play and to grow, whilst also having some kind of zone for development. A platform for development needs a playground, but also a clear workspace. So I've been shopping around for that sort of workspace, and I mean, I probably am showing you this before we go into the music, just to help us understand that when we talk about playlisting, we're not just talking about playlisting music, we're playlisting ideas or playlisting knowledge. Um, and then, that would apply to playlisting music. So A starting point then would be before you even look at like like the apps, the music apps that you would be using, the container needs to understand how you would organize your units, whether it be like word units or sound units. You need to be organized. So I'm not so familiar with how Android or Windows works. iOS and OS kind of have a similar structure. So that at least I can demonstrate. So here in this particular platform, you're looking at my brain for example, which is my iPad for now, mirroring my brain. It's in the files section that I would like more or less organize my space. So let's say I could go into my desktop, and I only organized all these yesterday. So this probably would go through many changes, but these are the ones that I would be using for now. What I did was I um, went into my Google Drive, and I basically picked out the areas that had samples in them. And these are samples I can easily share to you. These are my collections, the ones that reflect anyway in my iPad. I have a lot more in my MacBook. And I simply moved them into my iCloud so that I could organize them. So when you look down here at the colors, when you look at these particular names like Tundra, Stefan is the creator of the noise, of my noise. And if you are a contributor, you can actually get free sounds. So these are the ones I've downloaded so far. I have 3 types of Stefan sounds. I don't know if you can hear this, but I press play. I hope you can hear that. I would need you to hear my sounds. Francois is a French musician and mathematician who is right now in Maya spending time with us. And he's done all these recordings, and I have them folded up here. Like these are just a whole bunch of other stuff. These are my inner dance songs, and these are my more or less the stuff that you would find in Spotify. Yeah. So in bringing these up, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I would like you to understand that you have like a lot of time to study this. Don't give yourself like a week or a day. Don't try to tap into your perfectionism. I would like you to organize your own brain in the comfort of your own like your own pacing, your own timing. And what you love, what you are passionate about. Okay, like what are you passionate about? What do you believe in? Who is your audience? I would say, what are your advocacies? Do you have a job as well that would open up to the energy exploration space? So when you have these parameters, then you can build your own library. You would libraryify your space. You would construct um, your room. Okay, you would do interior design, and you would folderize. Really love making adverbs out of nouns. You would folderize your stuff. And it's up to you how you might do this, either based in colors or this and that. So I'm starting with this just to help you understand that once I fix this in my iPad, and what's great about iOS is I fix this in my iPad, it would actually show up in my iPhone, and it would also show up in my MacBook. Then I can open these apps already. Like if I open DJ Pro, I could already access these files if I wanted to. Okay, meaning the organization for DJ Pro would also be the same for Koala. So if I was to press import audio, it's the same thing. So I can easily draw out like stuff. Say I want, so I would easily load that there. And now it's there. Okay. So notice these letters at the bottom, A, B, C, and D. These are different sections. And if you do the math, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 per row, or no, yeah, that's a row, and then 2 columns, or maybe it's 8 columns and 2 rows. You do the math, that's 16 per page. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do the math, that would give you about 64 slots. Okay, so let's do a comparison for those of us, including me, who are attached to the Noise app. Why we love this so much is that we could play 5 noises at a time. Okay, so let's do the math here. If you count the sliders, these colorful sliders, what you would have is 10 sliders. So if you have 5 noises times 10 sliders, what you have is 50 sounds or slots. Just keep it symmetrical, slots. So Koala would give you more in many ways. And when you are using the Noise app, you are subject to however way this guy, the creator, Stefan, had done the work for you already. You don't have to do the work. It is quite interesting though that let me do a demo, say get something in particular. So I could easily still just capture that here. Oh,
Why we don't hear the sound?
oh, you didn't hear anything? All right, so since I've been demonstrating, you didn't hear anything? Sorry about that. Let me make sure that I'm doing a shared sound. I wasn't doing a shared sound. I should have told me earlier. Now I feel silly, but it's all good. Okay, so this should be fine now. All right. Did you hear that? You guys have to
Yes,
tell me.
yes, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so let me restart then. Just so we're fresh. All right, so conceptually we get it. So here's okay, so for now I was going into the concept of the library. So when I say library, library could be the songs that you have organized in your machine. You might even call them samples, so they're not needing to be just songs. They could be sound like noises from somewhere. I can't demonstrate this live. When I'm not like sharing screen, I can easily play anything from anywhere. I could literally go to YouTube and play a YouTube video. Could be like a music video, and I literally would just press one of these boxes and it would instantly record whatever it is. So for example, if I was to do that now, I would make maybe a sound like boom. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I pressed the red box and then I just made a sound. And then I'm gonna press the box again, boom. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a background noise. But at the end of the day, it doesn't actually reflect so much when you don't have earphones on. I could say a word like baby, baby, boom, baby, boom. Okay, so those are two examples. So just to press on the point that when you're using the noise app, you're basically using sounds that were already pre-recorded. You could be going around like the room, or you could just be walking the earth, collecting sounds from the airport, and which is what this guy literally did. That's what he did. He'd take sounds from his electric fan, or it's raining outside, or he's traveling across like natural spaces, or he just likes to burn stuff. I'm interested in your creativity, that you are not bound, subject, or enslaved by anyone else's sounds. You can always, if you wish, use other sounds. Like this one is uh, one thing that comes from my sample library, and I can shift it any way I want to. Can make it go backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So that's one demo of something you can do. So it doesn't matter how much you store if you're organized and not really in a space of getting confused because you organize your folders, then you're not limited in any way. You can put in as many things as you wish. Francois is an inner dance facilitator from France, and what I love about these is that his recordings would be very inner dance based. So let's say I don't know anything about this. I'm just gonna put it in, but these are recordings that he would make while someone's laying down, like in the ground sometimes. So let's say. So a lot of these are just like 5 to 10 minutes long. They're not as long as those big playlists that I constructed. So it will force you to construct on your own. All right. So that's the library. Okay. Songs, samples, whether it be like a live coming from the room or recorded ones that you possibly downloaded. There are many sample libraries you can get for free across the world. So you can just start collecting them. You can download them from YouTube, whether it be like sounds of animals, sounds of aliens speaking, sounds of, I don't know, like anything that you would like. Sounds, frequencies, actual noises, whether it be like white noise and stuff that would come up as you study the brain, the language, and the mind. It could be sounds from movies, like clips from movies of people talking. Let's say where there might be interesting speeches, um, very iconic speeches that people might remember, that might evoke a lot of stuff. So that's what a sampler basically does. So let me demonstrate. Let me renew. Let me demonstrate something I am excited about doing. So let's say I want to tap into an inner dance song, particularly as I know that an inner dance song is very, very appropriate for one of the 12 stages. I'm going to look for something that's not going to get this copyright issue, because then when I post this video, it's gonna, it needs to be a kind of oldish song. Like this one's oldish, so you guys would know this. Okay. Let's stop that. It takes some practice to understand how to operate these. That's something we can keep workshopping. So I want to take the song. It's by Dionne Warwick, and it's called "Do You Know Where You're Going To?" And let's say I wanted just a piece of the song. So I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to look for an obvious section. And if I wanted to test it, I'm going to press in the red square. And then I'm going to make adjustments. I need to look for a starting point. Okay, so that's a starting point because she starts with "Do you know?" Okay, so that's a starting point. So I would like to capture just that. And I'm going to open my tools just to demonstrate what can be done or doable. I'm going to press and split stems. And I'm going to split everything so that I'm going to end up with not one, but 4 songs. And I'm going to go so far as to even delete the original track. So what I have are the 4 elements that used to be 1. So if I wanted to just have the vocals, so that's just the vocals alone. If I wanted just the drums, so I can start doing interesting things there. Okay. So I'm going to delete the bass. Maybe, okay, I want something more steady so that if I mix things up, then, and I'm going to be creative here. Let me just open other inner dance tracks, just so I can do selections and combinations in people's brains that's not going to be what they're expecting, so that even if they heard that song before, they'd hear it like in a new way. So let's say I'm shopping around and looking for interesting stuff. I don't really know. Let me do this one. This is the breathing track that Tom made that many people across the world are using. Just reduce the volume on that. And then let me split the stems on this as well. So I'm gonna split the stem, and maybe I like the base of this. And I'm just gonna grab that. So it saves me energy and space. Okay, it's taking a little bit longer. Probably it's a longer file. I could have just gotten the breathing as well, but I think I'm more interested in demonstrating looking for a bass. Sorry, it's taking long. I hope this has a bass even. I'm not even sure if that's considered a bass. I think it's more like the strings section. And do understand that you're not doing this live. If you want to do this, then this is something you're doing at home or in the plane or in the bus or in the tube when you're bored, you know, because you're just playing around. You're being creative. All right, so it's done. So this is it, I think. No, this would be it. Oh, it's very soft. Oh no. Here. That's all I got. That's for me not actually okay, let me just grab that then, just to be creative. Otherwise, I lose my point. So I'm going to delete this one. And now I have these particular song elements. So let's see if I can construct a song out of it. say I've got this particular track. So I press this one shot thing so that what that means is if that's not on, I have to be pressing the red square for a long time for it to actually play that. And then once I let go, it stops. So if I press one shot, it means I press it once and it's going to play once. If I'd like it to play over and over again, so let's say this bass what would need to loop because it's such a short track that I chose. If I press hold, if I press the square again, it's now going to keep playing on and on over and over again. Right? So with the vocals, what I'm gonna do is maybe do something interesting with this. Let me make this unfamiliar simply by pressing reverse. So that's something you could do. You could even do some pitch adjustments. When you do pitch, you don't just make it go high or low. You can also slow it down or make it faster. Okay, so I'm demonstrating a song. It doesn't need to be a song. It could be once again like boom. And then that boom, you can just boom. You can just loop as well. Let's say in reverse. Move, 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 move. Meaning it could be any sound whatsoever, like in the world. So maybe I can already make a song out of this. I don't know what this other is. What is this? Okay, I don't want that. Let me get rid of that. It's too much of a rhythm there. So let me keep playing this over and over again. And then this is the drums. Okay, so it doesn't need to sound good. All I'm doing is an instantaneous demo. There's so many other elements that you can import. So let's say, okay, that's nice, but I want to be in a hurry and I would rather have already like inner dance elements so I could use it right away. So I would just get something from Francois because I know that that's going to work. Put that maybe somewhere in the middle and just loop that. And then let me get something from Stefan because I like these space stuff that he makes. This is mission 4. Too loud. Okay, so I can just play everything now. So let's say I wanted to speed things up. I can control at least this drum track. Okay. Okay, so that's a demo for now. So the possibilities I'm seeing here primarily is this. So let's say we're looking at A, not B, C, D. We're looking at A, and you have these 16 squares or slots. Basically, what this possibly offers us is, remember, like something you're looking for is a possibility to hold a container not just to keep growing. Because one big fear people have with playlisting is that there's too many options, and people have this fear of making a commitment, because how in the heck are you ever going to choose the right one? As I mentioned, there's always going to be, no matter how much space you have, there will always be the developmental pressure time gives. And so you need to, yeah, be growing, collecting, like adding, accumulating, because you are infinite, but there has to be the level of restriction. So because you have these like 16 squares for each letter, what could actually be amazing is you can work when you libraryify, what you can work with are possible themes, okay? Because you do have like the entire world now as your library. Limiting that library prior to a session, which would teach you how to hold narrative in the space, possible thematics, whether it be, okay, I want to visit the earth, I want to do something eco, or I want to visit the cosmos, or I want to go into the quantum realm. And because you're not just dealing with song sample sounds, you can also use like words. Could be like your own words, could be the words coming from a movie, or like a book that you'd be reading. Those themes would stand out because you already have the chance of like creating the limits, either per page or the whole file, where 64 tracks would then be instantly saved, and you can access this file anytime you want to, and then you can move to another file, which would hold like another theme. Okay, this is something you cannot do here. In fact, because you really do have too many options here. And it is true that the new noise app performs categories that wasn't present in the, say, this is, yeah, this is the whole library, but when you go into the home page, you do have these different options. But like as mentioned, because you can only play one song at a time, Koala gives you a lot more organizability. And you can't really build a thematic here. You can intuit. Okay, I'll go for this and that. There's something very, very generalized about this library type still. And you'd still be overwhelmed about like just how many choices you have, like 300 choices. You could tend to, let's say, I'm going to limit this because it's too many choices, but at the same time, it doesn't provide the growth aspect. You can try to restrict, but you still need to balance out the growth aspect, because what is growing is psychological, linguistic, and neurological. There needs to be diversity. This is where we're headed, like this is what we lost through modernization, like this, tendency to try to control. We've been more restrictive rather than growing. So when people say I'm going back to the origins, the indigenous, back to the source, what that amounts to is linguistic, neurological, and psychological diversity. When people do go into, let's say when I talk about like the practice and the applications need to marry the theory and the philosophies. The what we're studying is how the brain tends to like filter out stimuli, primarily when we go into the language acquisition device. When you, as a toddler, learn a language, take on your accent, take on your psyche, the words that you would be using in your language. When you acquire a language, you would then filter out the noise. So what inner dance does is it lets go of the filtration mechanism so that the brain isn't filtering what sounds nice, like when you then acclimatize to the noise, you then go into dimensionality of space and time that is not bound by a culture, by a family group, by a language. That is precisely what language culture does. Okay. When we are educated, we basically filter out the noise so that we would make things like cleaner, neater, and less dirty and noisy. But the origins of the brain is like white noise. So we are acclimatizing. We're going back to the womb. We're going back to the indigenous. So in a way, we're ungrowing even as we're growing back the synaptic, like possibilities that don't exist anymore for a person who grew too old. So you can see then how this might make sense because the themes help you to restrict. You would, let's say, be remember, like when you're planning things, what is that? No, that's like another combination. You're what am I looking for? Yeah, you're restricting things based on like who you are, what are your interests, what are your advocacies, but also who is there. When you are holding space, you will be channeling the processes of others. And where they are will speak through the playlisting process. So if you know where they're at, what are they working on? Are they working on trust issues? Are they working on particular emotions? Is there a type of crisis that is very, very specific to that place and moment, like a 2025 moment, or then you would hold that container. Like what is your thing now? And so if there was anger, then it could lead to forgiveness. If there was let's say a skepticism, then there would be trust, right? So those are possible containers. You don't have any limits. You could still work within the 12-stage architectonics. You could still work on a noise app, more layered, not so clear distinctions between the songs or the stages. It's really up to you how you might understand the way your audience works. Yeah, it's like how you fill these up. It's entirely up to you. What I do like about it is even as you discover it, because you now have friends here and we are a global network after all, then this is very much like community based. Your library will not really just be your library because your library can be shared. There could be library sharing possibilities so that, let's say, if I was to share a playlist, why would I need to just share something coming from this? Why don't I share with you my file so that the playlist isn't stagnant, it becomes dynamic. It's almost like it's alive, meaning it can change, it can morph depending on what you do, selection and combination wise. Okay, that's really just the starting point. This is maybe the easier way to use it, to work with the samples. If you want it to be more creative, let's start like a new thing. Boom. Ooh. So let's say boom. Wait, I'm annoyed by my voice. Let me just soften that up. So let's boom, boom. Let me do a finger snap. Okay, so there are many things I can do with this. So let's say when you move this, it gives you a starting point. That's like at the end. So either I maintain the echo, the release, or I could have a short release. Okay, so I can go to sequence and make something of this. Boom. I'm going to make like a song. So let me make this short, just 4 bars, and I'm going to press record. Remember, this is the metronome. It guides you where your beat is. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that wasn't so good. I wasn't ready. Let me do another one. Boom, 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 boom. So now it's just looping on its own. Okay, so let's say I wanted to resample that. Now this is a sample down here. It's a square down here. So I can do stuff with it now. Let's say I wanted to reverse it. So it's really just bringing your own sounds like into the space. And I want to reiterate that when you're doing this, where is that slot? When you're doing this, you're not just doing this for others. When you're learning this, whether you actually use it in sessions or not, you're already growing within bounds, meaning you're doing it for your own brain. You are developing your own brain. I don't want to have to go too much into lecture mode, but when you start doing stuff like that, then okay, my problem is this guy just keeps moving, so I need to figure out like how to make him stop moving. Anyway, there. So what happens when you work on music is you are able to already thicken your own corpus callosum. You ipsilateralize the contralateralized left and right hemisphere. You also thicken the arcuate fasciculus, which interconnects the Broca's and Wernicke's area. Most musicians have a thicker corpus callosum. You also thicken the fornix, which allows emotions and memory and the senses to communicate with each other. The cingulum as well helps with memory functions. In other words, I just want to clarify that when you start doing these things, whether you use it or not, you're doing it actually for yourself. You're having fun, and at the same time, you are developing you're developing your brain. You would there's something integrating in the nonverbal space when you are conducting your own music, and do believe that this is music. Just me, more or less, when I was sequencing, hitting the beats like at the right time, I'm already training my brain to work within the confines of rhythm and tempo. Looking for the pulse allows my brain to restrict itself within pattern. And when you do that from a musical space, then there are very, very interesting and powerful developmental stuff happening. Okay, so that's more or less that's the koala. I don't want to be biased. Like I have done so much within DJ Pro. So I don't want to limit you to just one option. Like a DJ Pro would still be considerably an amazing space to be in. So I just want to do a couple of demos. Wanted to do this in the training, and people were asking, "What were you doing there?" But I didn't actually have time, so I want to take my time now. All right, so you would just need to study. Okay, so what this does is it controls the volume. This slider here either prioritizes the left side or the right side. So that's one example. Let me see, what would I demonstrate that might be the not simple thing that for now, maybe I want to look for something on Spotify, like something like this. Okay, so what I want to demonstrate that would be the creative process would be this. Okay, this is, I don't actually have that much music in my own iPad. Like I'm accessing them through my files system on iCloud. I like to work with words. So for example, this one.
Have no concept of three-dimensional objects.
So I love to work with dimensions, and there's this one thing that I downloaded from well, it's a TED Talk basically, and it's just a guy speaking about dimensions.
Only what we
Okay, actually, there's a better one. Here. This one is the TED Talk.
Space is just a line. A two-dimensional space is defined by two perpendicular lines, which describe a flat plane.
It's very science-y. Let me change this to something a little bit more intense. So let's take this Biggest Small Things, what's called the Irresponsible Playlist. It's a very sharp transition with this one. Okay, so let's say you have the rhythm. Let's put it somewhere here where it's gonna get faster and faster. Okay, so if I just press on the dialogue thing right here at the right side.
Like a piece of paper.
Together.
And a three-dimensional space adds a third perpendicular line, which gives us height.
I wouldn't play this voice as it is. What I would like to do is have fun with it. So Sophie was watching me in Turkey. I'm not sure if she was particularly watching me doing this track, but here
you're familiar with.
This is what I would do.
So what about 4 dimensions and 5? Where do we put these new perpendicular lines?
This is where Flatland can help us.
Let's look at our square picture.
So in the trainings, this is something I would often do. If people ask me to do stuff, this is what I would have on. Why? It's because like the music here is going through different dimensions. Remember, rhythm organizes time, and when you speed up the tempo, you bring people into other dimensions. So being able to speed up and slow down a person talking about dimensionality whilst over here a song is bringing people into different rhythms, which organizes different time experiences, time perceptions, then what they're hearing vibrationally and linguistically, it starts to match with each other.
Flatland is geometric shapes ranging from isosceles
triangles to equilateral triangles
to squares, pentagons,
hexagons, all the way up to circles.
You know, what you might normally hear in school becomes suddenly like an actual experience of dimensionality. So what I like to do isn't really just that. Like I would go into the loop section. And this is the loop. You see these two arrows that's kind of going into the recycle type logo. And then when you press this particular area, you can toggle through different possible options. Let me explain that. So when I press play,
You're all scurrying around
either I loop it
flat
for a second.
in that world, living in that world,
The pad is quite fun.
living in that
No, what I'm doing, I'm just letting my finger travel across the matrix of time and space here. And what I could do simultaneously is I could loop while I could also change the tempo simultaneously. What else can I do? I can make it go backwards. What happened there? It went to the beginning. It went too fast.
from isosceles
Triangles to equilateral triangles to squares, pence, range. This is defined by two
Anyway, so that's something I'm more or less constantly doing. That's my constant. Like and I can't really do that as effectively in Koala unless I'm wrong. Probably there are different ways to maybe loop this. Okay, I think yeah, here. Well, you do have these options, and you can yeah, just maybe shorten something so that that would loop. Oh no, it's here. That's the loop. It's got different options, so I would love for you to just try things out like on your own. If you gave yourself months or a year to just learn this, and we can explore this within a kind of shared studio in Stoudious Mundos. Okay, something else I want to demonstrate. Let me discard and start afresh again. Let me grab a song. Wait, what did I do? Import audio, grab a song, something song E. No, let's use the same one, the Dionne Warwick. Okay, so that's there. So what I'm gonna wait. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna divide these up. In other words, I'm gonna chop it up into different sections. So I'm gonna press auto chop, and I can you see this part here. It says how many chops I'm gonna be making. I only have 64 pads, so I would like to make it more feasible. So let's say let me make 38 chops, and I press chop. Now it's done it instantly. So A, B, C, all the way to C, there are different chops here. So what is a chop? It's basically a subdivision of what you had just created. So it's just a section. Okay, so let's say I didn't really need to make that much, so I'm going to delete all the other ones. And C had So I really just, I want to make more space for later on. So I just need these ones. They're a bit too long. Okay, so just the ones that are short. Let me delete that. So these are short chops, and when I then sequence, what I can do is make songs out of this, interestingly. So let's say this one, let me make maybe 8 bars. Okay, so that's just really for the sake of demonstration. You can basically construct a song through the auto chop device. Okay, so let's do something here. Okay, so let's say you weren't confident yet, but at the same time you were just playing around. What you could do as a simple thing is even just to play something in the background, like it could be one of the. There's no mistakes there, you know, there's no right or wrong. When you acclimatize people to possibilities, they basically get used to that. Okay, I think I've more or less outlined what this could do. And then let's say if you wanted to keep that, you could just record it, basically. That's something you couldn't do in the noise app. And then next thing you know, you have your own song that either sampled other people's tracks or it could have been your own sound. Okay, so let's say I did the boom, boom, and then let me put that there, boom. And then let's say I wanted to deepen that. So within the thing itself, you already have samples inbuilt. So let's say I wanted to make a drum kick. Let's say I wanted that one. Then I'll load it. Boom. So I'm gonna drag this drum kick over to boom. So now it's one sound. Boom, boom, boom. You know, the possibilities are endless. I could say yellow, yellow, hello, 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 hello. It's like 3 sounds together. I think that could lead to some interesting opportunities. So I made a recording just now. And go to sequence, and I don't know if you see this piano roll. I'm gonna press on that. Then I'm gonna choose the oo. And then now what I have is a keyboard. Just randomly pressing buttons, and you can just change the scale. Okay, so that's a keyboard. So you can take any noise and make it like notes, and you can press chords. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool as well. That's something else you could do.